All right. So I'll upload this as is. I will upload this as is. I hope that wasn't disgusting. I couldn't help it. I'm drinking a carbonated beverage. So, excuse the tummy rumblings and esophageal noises. There's a meeting going on outside. I just feel like there's so many lessons that I'm learning in the last 72 hours, and it just feels like I need to share it somewhere. But I also don't want to force it. Like, that's the tough part about making videos. It's like, if I make it for content, it dismisses why I would make it. You know? Like, as I grow and I develop, maybe you don't know, so I'm going to fill you in. As I grow, God, that's good. Celsius, probably slowly taking my kidneys out, but hope not. Hope not. I don't drink them often. But as I continue to grow, I've always said this, you become someone that does something. And it sounds goofy. It's like, what does that mean? If you plant a seed from an apple, then you are going to grow an apple tree. As long as you do the processes, as long as you implement the steps in building that apple tree, you know what seed you planted. So it's the apple seed doesn't say, oh, I'm going to produce this fruit and you're going to love it. Maybe. But I like to pretend like it doesn't think that, right? It doesn't grow just so we can be eating it. Now, there's a cycle of life. We don't need to get into that. But philosophically, consciously, to create applicability going forward, you look at an apple seed and you plant it. And as long as you take the steps in growing that seed, it's not going to turn into an orange tree. It's not going to turn into a vine of grapes. Like, you're getting an apple tree once it goes through its entire process. And so you set goals in the world and you aim to become something. But most things that we aim to become have already been, those roles have been filled, typically. And so you have a trajectory, you have a list of steps. And then we can get into identity and a list of stories why you would pick any route. And many times we stop ourselves from picking specific routes because we have limiting beliefs under the surface and stories and reasons why that route wouldn't work for us. Those are just stories. They're not concrete. And I have aimed at, in my life, the literal mission for me, when I was a teenager, I was looking around, I was like, who's a role model, who's a role model, who's a role model? And I couldn't find one, right? And it's not to knock anyone in my life, it's just, you grow up and you see the guys in your life, and there might be admirable qualities, absolutely, and you take aspects of their character, you implement them into yours, and you see people act certain ways, and you say, well, I love that. I want to act that out in my life. But the overarching theme that I saw was no one was fulfilled in their life. They all complained, worried, drew negative parallels to how things were. And it was just like, And, you're growing up, and you're like, maybe, but, I'm reading these books, I'm watching these movies, and these people are living different things, right? And it started with movies and TV shows, and you come to realize that, well, that's not reality. But you know what? There's just this one character in this one book, and everybody seems to know him. And some call him God. And I didn't write this, and this is me when I was a teenager, I didn't write this thing, so, whether that's God or not, like, that's not up to me. I don't have the answer today, Teenage Dylan. But boy, oh boy, did this guy act out a life that I would love to model. And so I was like, well, Jesus, I'm gonna act like that guy. And what a journey it's been. Like, I'm only 34. I don't plan on dying today or tomorrow, so it's not like it's come to a completion or anything of that sort. I believe that anything worth experiencing is an experience and a pursuit and a continuation. And you can become something up into a point, but I believe it's a process of always becoming as well. That's the funny thing about this world. I've realized there's so many. You must be able to hold paradox. Like being convicted in one direction for your life, but having the humility to realize that could be the wrong direction. And you didn't write this. You have no clue. And that scares us. And as humans, we want control. We want to hold the reins. And it's just silly. Because we think if we entertain it, we'll lose control of the reins. But we're worried about losing something that we never had. I chose Jesus. I was like, I'm going to act out a life. I want to be like that fella right there. And you see, that was 18-year-old Dylan. That was me at 18 years old. Dropping out of high school, 300 pounds. That was my role model. That was my aim. That's a pretty solid aim. A lot of people would say, that's a crazy aim. That's too high. You can't do that. And it's like, that's not the point. Who cares what I can fulfill? It's a standard I strive towards. And fortunately for me, it hasn't been so far out of reach that I let myself off the hook so often. Because that's a possibility too. And for so long, that was probably why I picked that aim. I'll never be that. I'm not God. I can't act in accordance to that. That doesn't mean I can't aim at it. And recently, I've noticed, and you see, even me right now, I love where I'm at. I love who I've become. I see my life as an honor, a privilege to live this life. And it's silly because I'll post some videos on YouTube or TikTok, right? And it's like, you don't know what it's like to be. It's like, you're getting caught up in some stuff that doesn't matter. You're focusing on the writing on the wall, right? You see it? You see that right there? That right there? It's writing on the wall. You're going to see it when you walk past that wall. And that's it. That's one room. And that's one room on an entire floor. That's not the entire floor. And that's one floor in a building that's got 7 floors. And this is one building in an area that's vast. And this is Northern Virginia. This is Fairfax in Northern Virginia, a small little speck on the map. But that's what people focus on, that writing. And it's silly, because it limits you. It doesn't limit me to point a finger at me. And I believe my goal is to walk with you, shoulder to shoulder. I don't believe I'm better at all. I don't believe I'm special. I believe that my default, if you could have seen, I was the 300-pound kid, sweatshirt, chewing on the drawstrings in the back of class. I started to wear Under Armour, this tight, because I was so fat. I wanted to hold it in. But I remember seeing a kid in front of me and his butt crack was hanging out, so I tucked it. And I started to tuck it, and I've tucked it ever since. Because there was no way I was going to be that vulnerable and have a possible scenario where someone would make fun of me other than the reasons that I was. But just always covering the blind spots with insecurity because of insecurities. And the voices in my head, not those voices, the voices in your head, the audible, you are not enough, you suck, you're a fucking idiot, you can't do this, you can't do that, why would you think that, don't do that, you should do this, don't, yeah right, come on, you don't do that. And then the super devastating voices. The you should kill yourselves. And then the seriously entertaining those voices. When I was a kid, I didn't know. And I can get emotional. It's integrated now. And that's the privilege of walking this path, of developing. I can still feel the emotion because I can walk with that version of me. Because consciously, homie's still here. They all are. For all of us. You have a community in your consciousness of all of the individuals that you've met in your entire life and all of the versions of you you've been. That's how it works. And my best advice that I've ever gotten in my life is to be a student, never a follower, not of us. Meaning when you hear something, look at the fruit. Because what you hear is perhaps the seed. And I ask you, do you want to eat that fruit? Do you want that peace, that fulfillment, that belief in oneself? Do you want a life that looks like the other individual's life, in accordance to the aspects that individual is talking about? Especially in self-development, in those spaces, in the high-performing spaces, I've noticed a lot of men really focus and set their sights on, well, I'll take advice from people I want to be like. And all they really know about the individuals that they want to be like is that those people have money. They print money. You don't want to be anybody other than you. And no one can be youer than you. But we're called to stretch, to expand, to grow. And that's all I ask when I'm with people, is to grow together. And I don't ask that because I want something from you or anyone that's around me. I ask that because I ask that of myself. And the fruit tastes so fucking good. The voices, the negativity that used to just fly around in this thing, it's not really there anymore. You have good days, you have bad days, emotions come, emotions go. I can be so pumped to change the world today, and tonight I could just be like, tomorrow I'm gonna get after it. It's gonna be the best day of my life. And then tomorrow I might wake up and just totally forget all that and have thoughts that I have no shot at that because I'm just Dill. But then you put systems in place to pull yourself to a position where your shoulders are back, your physiology is upright. You do a couple things that you didn't think you could do. You trick your brain a little bit, get a little bit of that neurochemistry, some dopamine, maybe even some satiation from some serotonin. Satiety is probably the word I should have used there. And then all of a sudden you're ready to walk forth. And that change the world person's right back. And then sometimes you have negative thoughts come through. But if you know to treat them like clouds, passing through, perhaps not even you, what peace is possible. And it's not mitigating afflictions, it's going to the root of these weeds that are in your mind and plucking them from the soil. Because they don't belong there, but they will grow there. And if you ignore them and just affirm that you are everything that you have forgotten, the weeds will still grow. You don't want the weeds to grow. We live on a story. And the story embeds in our consciousness and becomes our identity. You know, my story for so long was, well, those things don't happen to me. Meaning good things, great things. They don't happen to people like me. And it was deep in there. Things aren't fair. But things aren't fair for all of us. Taxes are taxes for everyone. Politic for all of us. It's just a story, and it's not positive thinking. It's who you decide you are to one person. You. You have full reins on that. We're never taught that. You have a story about the way things are. And so, what you see out there is the story that takes root in here. So whatever you are within, that's what you will see without. It's the way it is. I think my favorite story there is there's two salesmen. And one salesman, he goes out, and it's a rainy day. And the salesman looks out, and he's like, oh, surely they can't expect you to work on a day like this. It's raining outside. I'll stay in. I think I'll make some hot chocolate. And then the other salesman looks outside. Same opportunity, same job, same prospect, same weather. And he says, it's raining outside. What a perfect day for sales. Everyone will be home, especially the salesman. Little stories like that, and then little winks from real life that pull those stories into something a little more tight, a bow that you can actually hold because it's reality. Those are the stories that pull you out of those unconscious depths where you think, well, things just happen to me. And you start to realize that things happen for you. You just have to pick up that seed, throw it in that mind, and nourish that ground. And your life will become the fruit. But after the story, you need evidence. You need things that stack on top. That's why affirmations, he once said it, affirmations without discipline is the beginning of delusion. That's good because it sits. That's reality. To affirm you are this, you are that, without the evidence that you've seen by your own eyes and hands, you won't believe it. We can't fool ourselves. And if you fool yourself, you live in a delusional state. And this is a tough thing in self-development. You don't need to be delusional. You need to be unreasonable. Delusion lives in the clouds. Delusion is deluded. Delusion is an illusion. It's not reality. But if you're unreasonable in the way that everyone else sees possible for you, you're just not within their reason. You're sitting outside, and we always will say, well, that's semantics. It's like, well, you. What do those words mean to you? Because we're built by society. And if there's any correlation to the word delusional, meaning that you're distant from reality, your consciousness pulls that word into a category. That's the way we think. I didn't make it up. It's not my rules. If you want your own planet where you can make up rules, well, wait till you get that. But while you're here on Earth, there seems to be some laws in place. And like I've said, a student, not a follower. If what I say resonates, take it. It's yours. And if what I say flusters, triggers, ask why. When something triggers you, don't run from it, because it's always going to come get you. And if you run from triggers, then you're letting the outside world determine your life. When my wife hopped on a plane, went across the country, and I would no longer had a wife, what a privilege. I played our wedding song over and over again. It wasn't like this masochistic, sadistic, just feel the... I was just like, I like that song. What if it comes on in the future when I'm with someone that I care about? Is it going to make me think about, I don't want that to happen. Let me listen to this. And I dove in to the triggers, to the pain. I did. And now I can listen to that song and enjoy it. I could dance to that sucker. I could sing that sucker in the car right now in a year. I could listen to that song and remember that I had love. And it was beautiful. I can listen to that song and think about the hurt and the pain. And I'm sorry to say, but that was beautiful too. It gives contrast. You need contrast to experience. It's what we have here. And what a privilege we have right in front of us. I'm going to be done now. 25 minutes. It's an accident.